Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sisters of the Strange. I'm Shay.
And I am Landry.
We're both really cold.
Yeah, we never told y'all Merry Christmas. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas and all the things 1 week later.
Yeah.
We didn't realize that the episode that was going to be mine was going to be supposed to be released on Christmas. It wasn't. That was my bad. I got a new computer for Christmas so that I can actually be a full contributor to the podcast now. I can upload my own episodes. I don't have to do a drug deal with the camera cards with Landry.
In the back of the Target parking lot.
Yeah. So I was trying to figure that out this week. And so that's why it came out at to 5 p.m. on a Friday afternoon or whatever time it came out.
She figured it out.
I did. I figured it out. I've got it now. So the next time we'll be on time. Hopefully.
Yeah. And while we're at that, we are not putting an episode out on a second episode
Thursday,
out this
New Year's
week.
Day.
I think we're going to start putting them out on Fridays, Tuesdays and Fridays.
Oh, yeah. We did decide that. Tuesdays and Fridays.
I think it works better for our schedules.
Mm.
But we're not putting another one out this week. We're just going to take a little bit of a break. We've been running and gunning since the holidays, and there's just a lot going on.
So it was Christmas last week, and I saw some family that I don't really get to see very often. I saw Bubba and Trish, and the kids were there.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, "Oh my God, you need to you need to hear this story." And I was like, "What?" So Trish was like, "Oh my God, I haven't told you this story." And I was like, "No, I need to tell me immediately." So apparently Trish was at home with the kids, and Bubba was not at home. He was at work.
No, I already know where this is going.
I know where it's going. Have you heard this story?
Nope. I just can put pieces together.
Yep. You know exactly where this is going. So it's middle of the day. Anyway, Easton was taking a nap with little sister, and he wakes up and he's kind of moving around and stuff. And Trish was, I think she said she was she was in the bathroom, trying to get ready or something. And she heard that he was awake. So she went in there, and, from his room, where he sits up, he can see into their office. And Bubba has a big gaming chair in there with his monitor. And that's where he always sits when he's on the computer.
Yeah.
And so that's just normal for them. But he was not home. So Easton wakes up and he's sitting up in the bed, and he's looking in, I guess he's looking into the office. And Trish comes into their room and he's like, "Mommy, who's in Daddy's chair?" And she's like, "Huh?" And the chair was turned around, facing the window, not facing the desk.
Yeah.
Facing away from it. Bubba had gotten up out of it and left it that way. And she's like, "There's nobody in there." And he's he's with his words and the things that he says.
Smart.
He's so smart, but he's also so funny. But she goes, "No, there's nobody in there, buddy." And he goes, "I could have sworn I saw somebody sitting in Daddy's chair." And she's like, "Nope, there's nobody in there." And she goes, "And then I quickly went and shut the door for the rest of the day."
Yeah.
She goes, "I know that there was nobody in there, and it was middle of the day, and I should not have been scared, but I was a little bit terrified." I was like, they can see stuff. Kids can see things.
I was thinking that I thought he was going to say something about Bubba sitting in his chair, Bubba being there and talking to him or something.
Oh, yeah.
A mimic. That's where I thought you were going with that.
No, it could have been. It could have been. But nobody was talking, but he said, I saw somebody sitting in Daddy's chair. And she was like, "No, Daddy's at work." And he goes, "Yeah, I know.
That's why I wanted to know who's in this chair."
Yeah, that's why he was like, "That's why I was confused that there was somebody in the chair." And I was like, "Oh, I'm immediately telling that on the podcast."
Oh, that's horrifying.
For sure.
Yeah, that's horrifying.
Also, I just want to mention, it was 85 degrees on Christmas Day. It's 40 outside right now. It was 20 degrees this morning.
Yeah, well, and yesterday it was kind of cold, and a cold front. It was warm.
It was warm all day.
It was 75 degrees, and then a cold front. A cold front
no,
started.
Literally.
Yeah, a cold front started to come in, and I have a pecan tree in my front yard, and there's pecans hitting my roof
flying
and everything.
Everywhere.
And I was like, "That's disastrous." And I had my window open, and the ceiling fan on my porch is loose, and so it's with the wind. And I was like, Anyways, I went outside to take the trash out and it was like warm wind.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went outside like 20 minutes later. Cold wind.
Yeah.
And then I still didn't turn my heater on last night. So when I woke up this morning, my house was 60 degrees.
3 people have told me that today.
Yeah.
My husband told me that this morning. Kristen told me that when I went to her house, and you just told me that.
Yeah. It was cold, which I mean, I like it like that. And I slept with this blanket on top of my comforter. So like I was warm anyways.
Yeah.
But my husband does not like the cold. And I was like waiting on him to just be like, why do you not have the heater on? Because I keep the house so cold. Like
All
when
the
I was
time?
leaving just now, he was like, good, I can turn the heater up. Because I have the heater on 66. And
Yeah.
he's like, no, I'm putting it on 70.
Oh my God.
And I was like,
That
I can't breathe.
That is old man behavior.
Yeah.
But yesterday, whenever it was so windy, Katie, my friend, texted me and she was like, are y'all recording today? And I said, no, we're probably going to do it tomorrow. And she said, oh, good, because it's so windy.
You know.
Yeah. Like, you know, girl. I was like, exactly.
Yeah, I was thinking about it yesterday. I was like, yeah, we probably shouldn't.
It would be so windy.
Yeah, I wasn't really
I
interested.
feel like that's part of the reason why my audio is a little like choppy on my episode.
Oh, maybe.
It wasn't like, but you had like the poppy. Did you hear the pops in it?
I haven't listened to it.
Okay.
I have not gone back.
There's a little bit of like popping here and there, and I wonder if it was from how windy it was.
Probably.
It wasn't bad. I just noticed it.
But anyways, we were talking about Richard Ramirez. I have actually kind of not necessarily had a hard time sleeping after doing research on this because I've already like known a lot of his crimes anyways. But laying in bed and thinking of his face has kind of bothered me.
Ew, yeah.
Because he's just so like dark. Like his eyes are so dark. And there's one particular picture that I can see right here that they put in every documentary I watched. And it's just like him being all skin and bones and he's looking down at a camera, just like horrible picture. And so I've just kind of been thinking about that. But he is the reason that for the last since 2018, 2019-ish, I will not leave a window unlocked at my house. I will not leave a door unlocked. He is the reason why.
He is the reason.
Yes. And like when my husband gets in bed at night, I'm like, did you lock the doors? And he's like, no. And I will get out of bed and I will go lock the door.
Yeah.
All of my windows are always locked. Even the ones like above the kitchen. Like, I don't care. This man scares me enough to where like.
Ain't nobody breaking into this house.
I know he's not even alive. But like, what if there's a copycat that wants to be like him?
Exactly.
Like, everything's locked.
Mm-hmm. You never know.
No. So to set the scene though, let's talk about what Los Angeles already was looking like before he even got into his crime spree there. So LA had nearly a decade of nonstop serial violence before he ever even stepped into the scene.
Mm-hmm.
So residents were already conditioned to fear strangers, highways, and their homes.
Yes.
Police departments were already overwhelmed and extremely reactive. And then media sensationalism was already like the norm, which means that the media covered anything, everything, even if it was false. They shared all these rumors and they were always on the scene. Like they were ready and had, you know, their tea.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were always super involved and caused all sorts of problems.
Like
because they were
Gail.
What?
Like our girl Gail Weathers.
Yes, like a Gail Weathers. Like caused problems because they were always there spreading rumors. And it's not necessarily rumors. It's just that they didn't know if it was fact or not. And they shared it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Tabloids.
Yes. What is it called? Yellow journalism.
Yeah.
And so like all of these things were already happening. So Charles Manson was already around. So his crimes were in like 1969. And so he was not active during the same time as Richard Ramirez, but he was already like omnipresent. His presence was always already there. He had already instilled this like cult fear as well. So that wasn't fun. And Richard Ramirez was here also during like the satanic panic that we talk about all the time.
Yes.
And so that's already a thing. And then the Hillside Strangler was active between 1977 and 1978, which is just like 6 to 7 years before Richard Ramirez.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Trash Bag Killer was active during 1962 to 1977. What is it?
That's a good story.
So is the Hillside Strangler.
Mm-hmm.
But the Trash Bag Killer, he was active 1962, 1977. So he was arrested just before the Hillside Strangler was, or Stranglers. And then Rodney Alcala was active during 1968 to 1977. And so he was arrested just right before Richard Ramirez. And then the Freeway Killer was active 1979 to 1980, which is right after the Hillside Stranglers and right before Richard Ramirez.
Yes.
And then there's another man named Lonnie Franklin Jr., and he was active 1985 to 2007. And he started killing most likely the same year Ramirez was arrested, which is 1985.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this was happening in that same vicinity within the same 10-year span.
Oh, yeah. Remember that episode that I don't know what number it was, but that episode that I did of the California, Los Angeles serial killers where they're all meshing together kind of.
Yeah,
and
overlapping.
It was just free for all over there in Los Angeles.
Truly. And they said that one side of the Hollywood sign was glitz, glamour, Hollywood, which even then, if you look into all of that, was probably not as nice as you truly think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other side is
other side of the tracks.
Lower,
from Hollywood.
Lower class, middle class, with a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
And so very interesting. Sounds very scary. I think I would have moved.
Yeah. Right.
I don't think I would have been able to be comfortable.
I think everybody was probably just so scared of everything. Why leave your house?
Yeah. Well, there was some people who end up being a victim. A lot of their family members were like, hey, you're near the area. You need to start locking your doors. And they'd be like, oh, I don't want to live like a prisoner in my own home.
What?
And then they ended up being victims.
Yeah. Why are you not though? Why
Girl,
wouldn't
be
you
locking them
just
doors.
be safe? Yeah. You don't need to crawl out of a window in the middle of the night.
No, and I can't sleep at night. I literally cannot lay down at night if my doors are not locked and no, my windows are locked. I will do a check. And if there's sometimes I'll lay in bed and I'll be like, I feel like I heard a noise. And I will go check every room of my house.
We keep everything locked, even out here.
You just don't know.
No, everything's locked.
It's just too scary.
Yeah.
So first, I'm going to start by going over his crimes. I am going to say that there is definitely a trigger warning for pretty much everything you could ever cover in this episode. So if you can't handle, anything that covers sexual assault, child molestation, death, which that's going to be in our podcast regardless probably. But if you can't handle those things, you might not want to listen to this episode because he's a dark guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's very, very ominous. And his spree definitely reflects that.
Take a rain check. We love you still.
Yeah, love you. See you in another one because this one's just... And I didn't hold back on pulling any punches.
Good.
I've got the deets. So
yes,
I went for it.
Love it.
Yeah, there's some words I'm like, children, please don't listen.
Yeah.
Any of my niece and nephew's friends that listen to my podcast, don't listen to this episode.
This is explicit content more than normal.
This is your warning to
rated R.
Bail on out. Yeah, my niece is like, I got my friend to subscribe. And I'm like, yay.
Did you ask her mom?
Yay, but talk to her parents. Please.
Because we are not for children.
Yeah, I've told her. I'm like, make sure their parents know, please.
Yeah.
Please. So even my sister will be like, hey, this episode probably not a good idea. I kind of monitor. Oh, and Nash was very proud of the Bermuda Triangle
Was he?
episode. Yes.
Yay, I'm glad I did it justice for you, Nash.
Yeah, he was
not that
excited.
you're probably not going to listen to
He
this
said,
episode,
I'm
but
famous. I got a shout out.
just for you.
Ooh, okay. So we're going to start April 10th, 1984. Ramirez murdered May Leung. There's a lot of names that are like this, so if I say them wrong, I do apologize. This is my best effort for you. But she was a 9-year-old girl. He killed her in the basement of her apartment building in the Tenderloin district of San Francisco. Leung was with her 8-year-old brother and looking for a lost $1 bill when Richard Ramirez approached the girl and told her to follow him into the basement to find it. Once they were in the basement, Ramirez beat, strangled, and raped her before stabbing her to death with a switchblade and hanging her partially nude body from a pipe of her blouse.
He's insane. Number one, right off the rip, he is a nutbag.
Yes. And this actually was not linked to him until 2009.
Wow.
When his DNA was used from a sample that they had obtained. Because, and you're going to ask yourself this multiple times over these next crimes, how did they not catch him sooner?
Right.
How did they not fingerprint this guy, which there wasn't normally fingerprints left anyways, but how was there no DNA evidence would have changed every single
one of these
cases?
Yeah, because what year was this?
1985.
Yeah.
This one was 1984, and it wasn't linked to him until later. But his big spree was March 1984 to August of, or 85 to August 1985. So just condensed, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
I have all the dates and everything. But this one wasn't linked to him until 2009. On June 28th of 1984, this one is also one that was linked back to him
later
at a later date. 79-year-old Jenny Vincow was found murdered in her apartment in the Glass Park, Los Angeles area. She had been stabbed repeatedly in the head, neck, and chest while asleep in her bed, and her throat was slashed so deeply that she was nearly decapitated. Ramirez's fingerprint was found on a mesh screen he removed to gain access through an open window.
I remember that.
Yeah. This is his second unknown murder, and it established his pattern of committing particularly vicious murders and frequently burglarizing the homes of his victims, because you'll see he doesn't really have an MO.
No.
But then whenever you start going through all of his stuff, you're like, maybe he has like kind of an MO, but like not one you would piece together until you had all of these.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So February 20th, 1985, this is based on a statement Ramirez made to an investigator. He's a suspect in the San Francisco double murder of 58-year-old Christina Caldwell and 70-year-old Mary Caldwell. The sisters were found stabbed to death in their Telegraph Hill apartment. That's it. It was just based on him saying it later.
He did it.
He said it like later after he'd already been arrested and all of that, but I want to put it all chronologically. Yeah. So we don't know if that's the truth or not. I don't think
he was just inflating. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it was ever like put back onto him or anything like that. So, but
not that they needed to add any more to him.
No, I know.
They had plenty.
Yeah. I have at the end of it, all of the things he ended up going for. But there was some things they didn't even go after him for because they didn't need to.
Right.
And it would just cause trauma for other people. So this is the very first crime that really started his like main spree that started the attention onto him is this one that I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
So March 17th, 1985, he's in Rosemead, California, and he is, I guess, following this girl, waiting outside of her house, not sure. But Maria Hernandez is, I don't think I have her age in here, but Maria Hernandez was like 20 something. She was in her 20s and she was just arriving home from like work. She used her remote garage door opener to get in, pulls into the garage, closes the door behind her, like the garage door. And then she gets out and she's going into the condo now. She's at the condo door when she hears some sort of noise, like an intentional noise. And it was said that it was potentially like him slapping his hand on the hood of the car. Like, you know what that would sound like. Mm-hmm. So she turns around and there's a man standing like point blank, gun outstretched at her face. Mm-hmm. And so she raises her hands up like this to deflect it. And he shoots and somehow he hits her keys mainly. So he actually, the bullet deflects off of her key. She still falls to the ground, lays there. He goes inside of the condo now. And when he's inside of the condo, she gets up, runs out. She runs out down the alleyway, out the back, because in California, most of the backs of your homes where your garage and stuff is on an alleyway. The front of your house is more where there's no street parking and things like that. So she runs down the alleyway. He goes inside and her roommate is there. Her name is Dale Okazowski. I'm going to say it a little bit wrong. She's 34 years old. It looked like she was probably already in the kitchen and hears this gun or the gunshot. And then the stairs he comes up at face that kitchen directly. So she hides behind the counter. And she's hiding behind the counter and he walks up and he just stands there. She has no idea he's standing there. She thinks he is left. So whenever she peeks her head up over the counter, he shoots her point blank in the forehead and she dies in the kitchen.
Yeah.
At this point in time, Maria is starting to get worried. She's like, man, I forgot Dale's there. Like I should probably go back. So she runs back, but she goes to the front door thinking he's going to go back out where he came from. Mm-hmm. No, he opens the front door like right as she's on the porch. And she's like, hey man, you've already shot me and it didn't work. You should probably not do it again. And he just walks off. He doesn't shoot her. She survives this.
Yeah.
And she was actually able to work with investigators and give like a composite sketch of what he looked like. He had left a black AC/DC hat in the garage. There was blood splatter in the garage. And then there was a bloody telephone, most likely from where Maria had called. Mm-hmm. And then Dale Okazaki was wearing a Dodgers jersey and was on the floor of the kitchen.
Ugh.
So
is this where the first composite sketch comes from? Is from her?
I don't think it's the one that they put out as like the one you're imagining in your head. I don't think is this one.
Okay.
But she does work with a composite sketch person. And actually, her composite sketch, whenever the main investigator, there's two main investigators, Frank Salerno and Guillermo. Gil takes the sketch back to like his other police detectives. And one of them's like, oh my gosh, I think this matches another composite sketch we have. Mm-hmm. And so it's already starting to kind of be like,
Uh-oh.
this isn't a one-off type situation, you know? Like this isn't.
Yeah, maybe we need to pay attention.
But even with Maria, she would have been able to be like, well, it's not a boyfriend. It's not a this. It's not a this.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was ever a question asked, but I think it could prove very quickly like
it's just some random
person.
Yeah.
But she said he had a stargaze looked in his eyes. And later on, he tells you like he was high the whole time he did all of this.
Yeah.
So 40 minutes, though, after the murder of Dale, like a mile or two away in Monterey Park, there's another murder that occurs. It's a young Asian girl, and she was driving down the street when she is stopped and yanked out of her car and shot. Her name is Tsai Lian Yu. She was 30. She was left sprawled in the street, shot in the chest. It was the same caliber weapon used, but could not be assumed that it was the same gun because it was a .22, and there are thousands of .22s in the world.
That's fair.
You have a .22? I have a .22.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, I think a very common.
Yeah, of course it is.
So.
But 40 minutes after, a mile down the road, like.
Yeah.
Radius. Hello.
Yeah. Well, this man.
Yeah.
I don't even have a lot of words for this man, but he did. So Gil, one of the investigators I have already mentioned, at this point in time, he's like, all right, so this was one man. I know it's one man, but a lot of people were like, I don't think so. Like, we can't really put that in there together, you know? He said what made him think this is the way that both of these people have been murdered, or both these people and Maria. He didn't just shoot Maria in the back of the head. He made her turn around and look at him. Dale, he didn't walk around the corner. He knew she was there.
Yeah.
He didn't walk around the corner to shoot her.
He waited.
He waited until she popped her head up.
Mm-hmm.
This other girl, he didn't shoot her through the car window. He made her get out of the car. It's like he got off on like the fear of them seeing him and knowing they're about to die.
Yeah.
So that was something that made him realize like this probably is one person because of the way he made them
all see him.
Yeah. Like see him and fear him.
Yeah.
So March 20th. So what is that? Our last one was the 17th. So 3 days later, he's in San Francisco, California, which is 6 hours away from Rosemead, California. And there's this young girl. She is 6 years old. Her name is Anastasia.
Her name is Anastasia.
Anastasia. Her name is Anastasia. I do not know how to say her last name, but you can understand. Her name's Anastasia. She's a 6-year-old girl. She was woken up in the middle of the night by her bedroom window opening. He grabbed her and ushered her out of the window. And she said she didn't like fight or anything because she felt this sense of like security or felt like she knew him or was like familiar with him. Like she just like felt that. So she didn't like fight or anything. She just kind of was like, okay, where are we going? And she was halfway like asleep.
Yeah.
And she remembers getting in the car and like riding with him. And at some point in the drive, he tells her to open like the glove box or whatever. So she does. And there's a gun sitting there. And he kind of just was like, just so you know, that's like that, like that's there. And she was like, okay, you know, like I'm 6 years old. That's scary to me.
Yeah.
And then he started asking her to do things to him. So she did. And then when they got to wherever they were supposed to be, she doesn't really remember all of that. She remembers there's a German Shepherd standing at a chain link fence and barking. That's like all she remembers of where they were. She doesn't remember what color car. She doesn't remember how long they were in the car. But he tells her to get inside of a duffel bag so he can carry her into like where he's staying, basically. She remembers when she gets into the room that there's kind of like smog in the room. It stinks. It's dirty. Like she specifically said, like, this is not my house.
Yeah.
You know, like this is not clean. Like
what
this
I'm
not
used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she remembers that. And she remembers that there was Madonna playing the whole time she was there. And it was like a record, or I guess, or a CD. And it was the one that's like a virgin, like that album specifically. And she said he basically abused her all night and molested her. And she would ask at some points like to make it like stop instead of being like, please stop.
Yeah.
She would be like, can I go to the bathroom? And he would just like set her on a sink to like let her go to the bathroom in the sink. And she kept asking it so much that he got to the point where he like realized she was like not actually need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And she said though, anytime she would ask like that, he would stop and like kind of be nice in a way, which she was like, she said his face even looked like he felt sorry, but he kept doing it. But like she said, his face looked like he was like sad that he was doing it. But then after that, and after he was done doing what he wanted to do, put her back inside the duffel bag, put her in the car, dropped her off at a gas station and said, go call your parents, make sure you get home safe.
What the heck?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, it's so his whole thing
Nothing
is
makes
just
sense.
so strange.
Yeah. And I think that's why it was so hard to like really narrow him down, because he is like, you'll see he's like active, but it's so hard to
Well, it's just like
understand even what he's doing.
it's like he was just like trying everything to see if there was maybe something that
Worked.
he
for
wanted
him.
more than the other thing, you know?
Yeah. We'll kind of get to it a little bit, because I will, at the very end of this, I'm going to go over his childhood,
Mhm.
and it answers some questions, but honestly not a lot.
Okay.
So that was March 20th. So 7 days later, on March 27th of 1985, at approximately 2 a.m, Ramirez entered a home that he had burglarized a year earlier, and he killed 64-year-old Vincent Zazara in his sleep with a gunshot to his head. And then Zazara's wife was asleep in the bedroom, and she was awakened by this gunshot. But Ramirez, because the husband was asleep on the couch.
Mhm.
So then Ramirez finds her, he beats her, binds her hands, and he's demanding, where are your valuables? You need to tell me where your valuables are. And like while he's ransacking the room, she escapes her bonds and is able to reach a shotgun that's under the bed.
Mhm.
He turns around right as she's clicking, it's unloaded.
Oh.
So that makes him real
Very
pissed
angry.
off. Yeah. He shoots her 3 times with his handgun, killing her, then fetched a large kitchen knife. He mutilated her body by cutting an inverted cross into her chest, and then removed her eyes and placed them in a jewelry box.
Mm-hmm.
He attempted to have sex with her, but assuming that he was still shaken from almost being shot, he was not able to form an erection. Go Maxine. You know what?
Yeah,
go
go, girl.
Maxine. She set him off. Like, she actually was able to stop at
rattled him.
least one part
Yeah.
of what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
But regardless, he took the jewelry box containing her eyes and he kept them in his apartment. But this is the first time that his shoe print is found in the flower beds. And this is the first time they've ever had like any DNA from him, not DNA, but like any sort
Physical
of evidence from him. Yeah. And
Of him.
Of him, yes. Yeah. And so they were able to cast this and photograph the footprint where now they know, or shoe print, so now they know what the shoe looks like. But the bullets that were also found at the scene were also used in previous attacks, and they were able to actually say that now ballistic wise, not just like gun wise, but ballistic wise. They were able to say like the same ammo was used.
Yeah.
In the spring of 1985, there is no particular date for this. All I could find was that it was in the spring. There's an 8-year-old girl. She was abducted, assaulted at a construction site, then abandoned. At the construction site, they had just poured fresh concrete there.
Mm-hmm.
There's an Avia footprint left.
A what?
An Avia footprint. That's the shoe.
The shoe. Mm-hmm.
There's an Avia footprint left there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Tee-hee.
yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's the second one they've been able to find and link him to this young girl's abduction. She's not murdered or anything, just abducted and assaulted. Abducted, assaulted, and abandoned is what I started to call it, because that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
So during this time, there were many children being taken, abused, and abandoned, not murdered, just taken, assaulted, and left somewhere. Eventually, the dots do get connected, and a lot of the children have the same description: dark Caucasian or Hispanic male, disheveled dark hair, all black clothing, brown stained gapped teeth, and a pungent odor.
Stinky.
Yeah, he got...
I can only imagine how bad that man smelled.
Ugh. I don't know. I am such a smell person. I don't think I've ever done the gagging noise on here. That's your call, but a nasty smell? Heck no. So this man was not only murdering men and women of varying ages and ethnicities, but he was now also abducting, abusing, and abandoning children. So it was a case that they had never seen before. And it was hard to believe that it was all one man, but there was one detective, Gil, who was like, this is the same man.
Go off, Gil.
But Gil was like an up-and-coming detective. He wasn't like a high-profile detective yet.
But he also wasn't jaded. He was fresh.
Yeah.
You know, like that's...
He had the fresh point of view.
Yes.
But he was the one. He was like, nope, this is all one person. And then the shoe prints, that was the first case where the shoe print actually was able to be like, hey, it's at both of these places right now. Okay, so May 14th, 1985, Ramirez returned to Monterey Park and entered the home of 66-year-old Bill Doi, or it's D-O-I. Doi?
Okay.
And his disabled wife, 56-year-old Lillian Doi. Surprising Doi in his bedroom, Ramirez shot him in the face with a .22 semi-automatic pistol as Doi went for his own handgun. After beating Bill unconscious, Ramirez entered Lillian's bedroom, bound her with thumb cuffs, then raped her after he ransacked the home for valuables. Bill died of his injuries while in the hospital, and I think Lillian actually ended up surviving, but she was found with thumb cuffs on. Literally handcuffs, but just for your thumbs.
That is so strange.
Very random.
Where did you get those, sir?
Yeah, very random. I was like, what are those? Like, I had to look them up. But now the detectives knew that. So after this case is when the detectives learned that he for sure was watching the media that was going on about him, because Bill was able to dial 911 before he died and like alert. And so that was put into the media. And after that, he started murdering people using the phone cords or disabling the phones. So after this specifically is when they were like, okay, he is paying attention to us because we put the information about the phone call out there. And now the phones are not able to be used. In any of the other cases. It's also at this point in time that the detectives were like, hey, this sounds horrible, but I almost want him to commit another crime because we need him to make a mistake.
Well, yeah, right. Exactly.
And so they're like, this is like a really hard way to say that, but like we need to catch him and we need him to mess up.
Yeah.
And it's also during this time that he's starting to get nicknames. So first he's known as the walk-in killer because he'd just be walking in and killing people wherever he can.
Yeah.
And then he was known as the Valley Intruder because he was kind of staying in the same general area. And then the Night Stalker got put out, and that is the name that like full on stuck. Which during my research of this, I learned there's like a few other people that were also called the Night Stalker. He's just the most popular one.
Yeah.
That'd be an interesting episode to do.
Yeah.
Covering the different Night Stalkers. Now, May 29th, Ramirez drove a stolen car to Monrovia and stopped at the house of Mabel Ma Bell. It's like Mabel and then you could call her Ma Bell. Age 83, and her disabled sister who was 81, and her name was Florence Lang. He found a hammer in the kitchen. He bludgeoned and bound Lang in her bedroom, then bound and bludgeoned Bell before using an electrical cord to shock the woman. After raping Lang, he used Bell's lipstick to draw a satanic pentagram on her thigh as well as both bedrooms. The women were found 2 days later, alive but comatose and critically injured. Bell died in the hospital from her injuries on July 15th, and Lang died in August.
Dang.
What's really sad is...
That's a long time.
Like, one of the sisters was the caretaker of the other sister because she was...
disabled.
Like, one of the videos called her an invalid. Like, she couldn't do anything
for herself.
Yeah. And so, she was disabled and couldn't do anything about it.
That's so terrible. That's such a long time to be, like, miserable from your injuries and die from them.
Yeah, because she died in August after being hurt at the end of May.
Yeah.
But I don't know when she died in August, but maybe she was able to watch him get his justice.
Maybe.
So, now, just a day later, May 30th of 1985, Ramirez drove the same car to Burbank and snuck into the home of 42-year-old Carol Kyle. At gunpoint, he bound Kyle and her 11-year-old son with handcuffs before ransacking the house. He released Kyle to direct him to where the family's valuables were. He then raped her repeatedly. Ramirez repeatedly ordered her to not look at him, telling her at one point that he would cut her eyes out. He fled the scene after retrieving the child from the closet and binding the two together again with handcuffs. So they both lived. But what I think is curious is it's going to be continued to be brought up, but he says, "Don't look at me." Why doesn't he wear a mask?
Right.
Because he meant
to put something over your face. Because in the beginning, you wanted them to look at you, but he was also killing them. So he didn't care, I guess. Or trying to kill them.
But I don't know why he didn't kill these people.
Yeah.
I don't get... Some people he lets live. Some people he kills. It's like if, like, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what... So in June 10th, 1985, this was found later using cold case research, but it was still during the investigation.
Okay.
So it wasn't like after the investigation had been completed, it was during it.
Yeah.
So part of the problem, I guess let me get there. Part of the problem is you can drive 5 miles and be in a completely different jurisdiction.
Yes.
So then all these cops at this point in time are trying to be the next big guy and all of this. So they're not communicating. They're not sharing their information. They are trying to be the person who gets the big name for themselves. And so it really complicates a lot of this. And so there is an attempted kidnapping of a young female off of a street. She fights, she escapes, and the man left in a yellow Toyota. While he was driving away, he committed a traffic violation. So an LAPD motor officer, so a guy on a motorcycle, pulls him over and gets him to put his hands on the hood of the car and is like, "You stay there. I'm going to go do this." While the guy is writing his citation. Ramirez I'm assuming, we're pretty sure it was Ramirez, right? Ramirez is hearing the radio talking about the girls, what just happened to the girl.
Yeah.
And he's like, and just runs and escapes.
Gotta go.
So then the LAPD impounds the car, and the sheriff's department learns about it, and they're like, hey, we want to fingerprint it. And the LAPD is like, no, we'll fingerprint it. Don't worry about it.
They're like, no.
Well, that's all that really comes of that for the moment. So they're like, we'll handle it. We'll come back to this.
Oh my God. Okay.
So June 28th, what?
I can't handle that. I need to know immediately.
We'll come back. It's not that far away.
Okay.
June 28th, 1985. There is a young woman named Patty Elaine Higgins. She is 32 years old. She was murdered in her Arcadia home. The crime was not discovered until July 2nd when she failed to show up for her work. And her attacker had sodomized her, strangled her, and slashed her throat. So they slashed her throat and then like stabbed inside the slash, which is extremely violent.
Yeah.
Ramirez was charged with the murder and burglary in relation to Higgins' death. However, these charges were eventually dropped due to a lack of concrete physical evidence linking Higgins to other murders. So there's no true validity if it really was him or not.
Probably was.
But it's suspected.
Yeah. I would say so.
Probably.
Yeah.
July 2nd, 1985, Arcadia again. Richard randomly selected the house of a 75-year-old woman named Mary Louise Cannon. She was a widowed grandmother. After quietly entering Cannon's home, he found her asleep in her room. He bludgeoned her into unconsciousness with a lamp and stabbed her to death using a 10-inch butcher knife from her kitchen. Ramirez repeatedly stabbed Cannon's body after she was already dead, which very similar to Patty Higgins, how he cut her throat and then stabbed her, and it was in the same vicinity.
Yeah, overkill.
Yes. July 5th, 1985, Ramirez broke into a home in Sierra Mead and bludgeoned a 16-year-old woman named Whitney Bennett with a tire iron as she slept in her bedroom. After searching for a knife in the kitchen, Ramirez tried to strangle the girl with a telephone cord because he couldn't find a knife. And he stated that he was startled to see electrical sparks emanate from the cord, and when his victim began to breathe, he fled the house believing that Jesus Christ had intervened to save her. Bennett survived the attack, although 478 stitches were required to close the lacerations to her scalp.
478?
Yes.
That's a lot. Like, I know that you know that that's a big number, but that's a lot of freaking sutures, bro. Holy crap.
Yeah. That sounds horrible.
I've never seen that many, and I've seen some biggins.
I'm like, I haven't and I don't want to.
Whew. We stapled a guy from his armpit to his groin once, and even that wasn't that many. Armpit to groin, grown man.
Yeah. I mean, I know my mom had her knee from here to here, and it was 13 staples.
Which staples are different than sutures, but still.
But still, those are still like, that's still, I mean, those expressed like
they're
spaced further and stuff, but still, that's still not enough.
400
that's
and
like
that, I'm like, her whole head was stitches.
Well, he beat her with a tire iron, so probably.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And she like said she didn't remember.
I'd be surprised if she did.
Yeah. She remembers like going to bed that night and then remembers waking up and being like, whoa, like blood and stuff everywhere.
Bone cord shocking her to death.
Yeah. But anyways, again, no fingerprints were found, but a shoe print in blood was found on the bed's comforter. Of course.
Silly goose.
So, of course, it was the same Avia shoe print. So now at this point in time, this is when Gil and Frank actually start to work together. They weren't partners yet. And Frank is Frank Salerno. He is who like solved the Hillside Strangler case.
Mm-hmm.
And then Gil is the new and upcoming. So now they're partners.
Smart.
And Frank is there with Gil and he's like, okay, you're on to something, Gil. Now I understand what you mean when you say all these cases are connected. Because at this point in time, Frank still didn't really believe that all the cases were connected because it just like location-wise, none of it was making sense. The child abduction part of it versus the adult part of it versus like ethnicities.
Yeah, it's fair that you wouldn't think that initially, but like,
yeah,
come on.
No one was really believing Gil, thinking it was until this specific thing. And Frank said he sat down with Gil and was like, tell me everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I believe you now.
I need to hear it again.
Yeah. So then Frank was able to use his like
seniority, like his experience
to go to the higher ups and be like, hey. And so now they start to listen. Now everyone's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's the same person. After Frank goes with his seniority. Yeah. Gil's like, I said that.
But, I already said that, bro.
Yeah. But Gil's very respectful. And like, he's in all of his interviews and stuff like that. And he doesn't act like that at all, you know? And
well, you can't. I mean, you know in your heart that you're the one who.
You know what you know.
Yeah.
It's one of those things you're like, don't call me a liar. I know what I know.
Yeah.
And so, but he was, yeah, definitely seems really smart. But he was like completely different ages, very young compared, not like senior, but like I think Salerno was in his like late 30s, early 40s, and Gil was like 27,
Early
28, 29, 30. Like,
yeah, they had some years in between them.
For sure. But that was July 5th. So now the very next day, July 6th, 1985, there was a woman named Lorraine, and she had fallen asleep on the couch while her husband, John, went to bed. She was woken up to a loud noise and was annoyed because she was like, John, you're going to wake up our children. And then she goes and gets John because she's like, wait, it's not John. She said she could just like feel that it wasn't him.
Yeah, she realized.
Yeah, so she went and woke up John and was like, hey, hello.
Yeah.
And so John gets up with his gun and he's walking around the house, and they find that one of their kitchen windows that like, it almost made it seem like their kitchen table was in like one of the bay kind of things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
One of those windows was wide open. She said, we've never opened that window. It's always been painted shut. So the fact that it was open, that's what woke her up, was that probably it slamming open because it was probably hard to open. And
or
once
like
you
the
got
snap
it up
with the paint. Yeah.
Something woke her up, that noise. And so then she's like, hey, we've got to call the police. And her husband actually is a police officer. And he's like, I am the police. She said, I don't care. We're calling the police.
Yeah, call somebody else.
Yeah, he has his gun and his flashlight and he's looking out the window or whatever. And they notice the same Avia footprint is in the flower bed. And so, of course, Gil and Frank go and check it all out, and it does match. And at this point in time, they had the full footprint of the shoe from having seen it so many times. And they wanted to begin deducing like maybe what kind of shoe it was. Can we start to determine what's going on here with the shoe print? Can we at least see what kind of shoe it is? You have to try.
Start from somewhere.
Somewhere.
This is all you have.
That's all they had. And so they are using this footprint, and they send one of their like detectives they realize it's an Avia shoe print, and they send one of the detectives to like the factory where they're being made, like in another state. And he gets there and he's like, okay, so it's this like model of shoe basically. And they're able to determine there's a white version of it, a black version of it, something else. And they're like, well, it's probably going to be a black version because all of our witnesses' descriptions so far say he's wearing like a black members only jacket and the black AC/DC hat and a black Jack Daniels t-shirt. Like, he's normally dressed in all black. So I'm going to assume it's a black pair of shoes.
Yeah.
And they're able to determine like, what is it? It is a 440 model of an Avia shoe. And they got it down to the wire that 1,356 pairs of that model were shipped to the United States from Taiwan.
Okay. How many in California?
Yeah. There were only 6 pair of black 11.5 model 440s manufactured. 6 pair. Only.
Sent to the United States.
Yes.
Okay.
5 went to Arizona.
Uh-huh.
1 went to Los Angeles.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. Like, you got to start with something. If that's all you have.
And they got very lucky with that. That to me, that's also, a very lucky brand.
Yes. Correct. Only having 111 or 11.5, whatever size it is, like that's lucky to only have one of those. But even if you didn't, you could go and say, okay, well, they sent this many to California. Okay, what stores sell this shoe? What stores have this exact model? How many of them have been sold in the last, I don't know, how many months? 4?
Yeah.
And from where? And just keep tracking it. Keep tracking it from somewhere.
I think that's what they were trying to do. And then they realized there was one, and that's like all the information they could get.
That's all you need.
There's one in Los Angeles, so we just need to find the man wearing this shoe. So they didn't tell anybody about this shoe.
Good. They shouldn't.
They didn't tell a single person about this shoe, except there was some detectives that found out and kind of started linking it to the media. So the media started trying to get involved. And the way that they got around that was they were like, we will hold a press conference with you, whatever, we'll give you your limelight, but do not mention this shoe.
Don't talk about it.
It's a girl. Her name was Laurel Erickson, because she's also in the documentary. But they had to like barter with her, like, please do not give that information out.
Yeah, this is life or death. Literally.
This is all we have. So that was July. So he did something July 5th. He did something July 6th. Now we're going to July 7th.
Okay.
And this is where, like, in his interviews, he said he would be high out of his mind. So some days he didn't sleep at all, and he would just be high, and he'd be like, commit. And other days he'd hole up in a hotel and just get really high there and sleep all the time and do whatever there. And that's why there would be these weird random gaps. And then there would be these like back to back. So July 7th, there is a woman named Sophie Dickman, and he entered her house through her cat door. her cat door. He handcuffed her to the bed, stuck a glove in her mouth, placed a pillow over her head, sexually assaulted her, robbed her, did all the things. Whenever he was done, he left her alive, and she dragged her bed with her, a 4-poster bed, so she could open her window, and she started yelling. And her neighbor just so happened to be one of the like main crime scene kind of like investigator people. She wasn't an investigator. She was more of like a forensic person.
Like a background. Yeah.
So she was yelling for her neighbor, like, please, please, please. And so her neighbor was able to call Gil, and Gil was like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
But it also really scared. That started to kind of like cause fear in the police officers because they're like, it was so close.
Yeah.
And the girl that she yelled for, the police officer, I'm going to say police officer, even though I don't really think she's an officer. I think she was more of a crime scene. You know what I just said.
Yeah.
Her name was Linda, and she was yelling for Linda. And Linda said that she had been in her hot tub with her friends until like 3 a.m. that morning. And as soon as she went inside to go to bed is when her friend came up and got her and was like, hey, someone's yelling your name outside.
Mm-hmm.
So they had all been outside
The whole
in the
time.
hot tub while all of that was happening. So he like passed, he knew they were outside in the hot. He had their most likely.
Yeah.
Because a cat door is most likely in the back of your house, and they were neighbors. And so it's like, it kind of started to scare them because they're like, he's close.
Yeah.
Like really close.
Yeah. And he just doesn't care.
No, everywhere. So that same night, July 7th, 1985, he goes to a woman named Joyce Nelson's house. She's 61 years old. She's a single woman. She lived in Monterey Park. And she fought him so hard and so viciously that he was so mad, he stomped the side of her head and left the Avia shoe print on the side of her
face. Yeah.
And so then they were able to match that. And the theory is that he probably killed her and didn't get to satisfy his need for sex because she probably fought so hard and all of that. That's when he went a mile away to Sophie Dickman's house and molested her instead.
I forgot about that detail, but then as soon as you started to like say it, I was like, oh, I do remember that.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
It's horrible.
Mm-hmm. But
Horrible.
guess what, buddy? That's all we got on you is that shoe. So do you just keep on?
You keep using that shoe.
Keep on with that shoe.
Mm-hmm. So now, July 8th or 9th, it's not clear, of 1985, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, which is who Gil and Frank Slaner work for. They work for the Sheriff's Department, not for like LAPD and anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
They decided to really put heat on the LAPD about the car and the fingerprints. Because they're like,
they still have that.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we haven't heard anything back. Can you let me know how it's going? And it turns out the car still had not been fingerprinted, and it had sat in the sun, and now all of the prints are lost.
Thank you, LAPD. Upstanding work, gentlemen.
Yes. So what the Sheriff's Department did now was they were like, well, I guess we're going to go through the car. And they found a business card that was for a dentist in Chinatown. So
Not the dentist.
So they went to the dentist and I guess explained, where the composite drawings did all of that. And the dentist said, hey, he was in 5 days prior. And his name he used was Richard Mina.
Okay.
And one of the detectives gets the x-rays from his teeth and takes it to one of his dentist friends. And he's like, hey, can you tell me anything by this? He's like, he has an impacted tooth. He will be back at the dentist if he's not already there.
Yeah.
Because that's going to hurt. And so they started to place some of their police officers or undercover officers in the waiting room. But the Sheriff's Department executives thought that it was a waste of their time and they pulled them in, but installed a robbery button, like an alarm, so that they could just hit the alarm and it would go to the LAPD because it's the LAPD's jurisdiction. And July 18th, which is 10-ish days later, the Sheriff's Department got a call from the dentist and he said, hey, I rang that bell so many times today. Why didn't you come? And he had been in to get his tooth fixed.
What were they doing?
The alarm didn't trigger.
Playing poker?
I guess the alarm didn't trigger.
Okay. Well,
but they could have had him.
Try harder.
They could have had him then. They could have had him with the car. And that was one of the things the detective Gil, he was like, if we had his fingerprints,
we could tell you exactly who this man was.
like we could have done this already. This could have been like, okay by now.
Ugh,
so
frustrating.
That's kind of like 2 times he escaped.
Yeah.
Within like a very short period of time.
Barely.
So now it's July 20th of 1985 and Ramirez purchased a machete before driving a stolen Toyota to Glendale. Seems like he has a thing for Toyotas. But he chose the home of a 66-year-old woman named Leela Kneading. It's Kneiding. and her husband, 68-year-old Maxon. He burst in while they were sleeping and hacked them with the machete, then killed them with shots to the head with a .22 caliber handgun. He further mutilated their bodies with the machete before robbing the house and valuables. So it's like sometimes he's just completely high out of his mind and just like stab, like can't stop himself. Mm-hmm. But it's so random because sometimes he has a knife and sometimes he has a gun.
Sometimes he has both.
And that's what I was thinking earlier, but I didn't want to say it yet. Whenever I was like, it's almost as if he does, like the people he left alive, he left the mom and the kid alive when there was no husband home. Mm-hmm. But when there's a husband home, he like most certainly shoots.
Yeah.
And so it's like a coward move.
Correct.
It's like he is scared
yeah.
that someone can overpower him.
Right.
He knows he's weak and frail and a drug addict who could probably just topple over if you, I don't know, drug addict is kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. But
also depends on what kind of drugs we're doing.
Yeah. He said he did anything and everything he could get his hands on. Yeah. So it didn't matter.
Yeah. So that also maybe have something to do with it.
Yeah.
Depending on how he was melting his brain that night.
Yeah. Which drug he's on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fair point.
Make you feel different things and want to do different things. Like some make you feel anger. Some make you feel excited. Some make you feel nothing.
Peace. Yeah.
You know, like.
Interesting. I didn't think about that. So that same night, July 20th, in Sun Valley, California, he goes to the house of this man. I will spell this name because I'm sorry, but I cannot pronounce it. Or maybe I can. Chainarong. It's ChainArong. Chainarong. Okay. Maybe. Last name, I'm going to say Khovananth. Khovananth.
Yep.
Chainarong. So he goes to Chainarong's house. Chainarong is 32 years old. Immediately upon arrival, the LA County Sheriff's Department notices the Avia shoe print directly on the front porch. The point of entry, though, is actually at the back of the house. And whenever they're back there, there's another shoe print, and it's leading from like the step into the living room. Mm-hmm. Same Avia shoe print. And the suspect, which was Richard, walked into the bedroom and shot the male in the head with a .22. Then he sexually assaulted the wife and the young boy in the home. He was probably there for like 2 or 3 hours, and he robbed the place as well. The female was left alive and was traumatized, but was clear on what she remembered. Her composite drawing is a very good and close representative to Maria Hernandez, the very first person who did one. Mm-hmm. And that is the one that's printed pretty much everywhere.
That you see. Okay.
This is the case, though, that combined everything. It had the shoe print, the .22, the male executed, the woman sexually assaulted, and a little boy also being sexually assaulted. They were having a really hard time connecting
all of it.
The kid, especially the kid molestations, to this because they were like, he doesn't kill them, though.
Right.
He sexually assaults them and then abandons them.
That's like the first one where there's a kid involved in the home with a husband.
Yes. Everything is in that one.
Mm-hmm.
So then now we go to August 6th, 1985, and he is in Northridge, California. He enters the house. He goes into the bedroom. He shoots this woman named Virginia on the left side of her nostril, and the bullet actually gets lodged in the back of her neck without hitting any vital organs. So she starts screaming, and that's when her husband sits up like, hello.
Yeah.
And he gets shot in the right side of the head, but it didn't penetrate either. So he gets up and he chases Richard out of the house. He's like, get out of my house.
Yeah.
And they both survive and run him off. And that's where it's like, he's a coward.
Yeah.
He's a coward. And this is the first crime, though. He uses a .25 automatic or semi-automatic pistol. Mm-hmm. So he switched guns. But the ammunition in it is old. It's not ammunition you could even like buy anymore from what the ballistics person said.
Stole it or found it somewhere.
Something random. But it had a red primer in it, which is like, so if you're looking at the ammo and you're looking at the back of it, the part that actually like the
busts
hits, you know?
Yeah.
It's a red primer on it.
Okay. Yeah.
Like what's normally gold now?
Mm-hmm.
Red. So that's the first time that's used. Neither of them die. It's Chris and Virginia Peterson. They both live.
Wow.
Like he shoots her and it goes straight through and doesn't hit anything. And then he shoots him kind of like on the right side, I guess. Like right here is where the picture is at. And it doesn't penetrate either. It looks like he kind of shot like maybe he's like where his ear and his jaw connect or something like that.
Yeah,
like
just
where
like
it's pretty
hit that
thick.
bone and it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. Now, 2 days later, August 8th, 1985, in Diamond Bar, California, there is a couple, but I think I only have the man's name written in here. His name is Elias Abelwath, and he's 35 years old. The point of entry is at the rear of the house. The husband was shot with a gunshot to the temple by a .25 semi-automatic pistol. It was the same ammunition as the previous case with the red primer. The woman had been sexually assaulted and told the LA County sheriffs that he kept saying to her, "Don't look at me." And she told him, "I swear to God, I won't." And he said, "Don't swear to God, swear to Satan." So she had to swear to Satan. Now, at this point in time, media is heavily involved. Multiple jurisdictions are involved, and the rumors or fake information are starting to spread. And they don't want that to be the case because it's like Gil said, he walked into another police department and listened to what their like deputy or higher up person was telling them. And he was like, "Well, you're wrong. That's not what information needs to be shared."
Yeah.
And so he records like 23 tapes and I think sends them out to like all the jurisdictions. They're not supposed to go out to like media or anything like that, but he records 23 tapes to share with other like police people.
Yeah.
And he said that the man is a Caucasian male who was 20 to 35 years of age. He was 5'10" to 6'2" with a thin build with medium length brown curly hair. And he also had stain gapped front teeth and wears a size 11 to 12 shoe. And that was like his description of like, this is what we're looking for.
This is what we have.
Yes. So if you have any other people who have composite sketches done that look like that or anything, like we need to start connecting the dots basically.
Yeah.
And then on August 18th, 1985 in San Francisco, California, he entered the home of 66-year-old Peter Pan and 62-year-old Barbara Pan. He shot the sleeping Peter in the temple with a .25 caliber handgun, killing him instantly. He beat and sexually assaulted Barbara before shooting her in the head and leaving her for dead, though she ultimately survived her injuries. At the crime scene, Ramirez used lipstick to scrawl a pentagram and the phrase "Jack the Knife" on the bedroom wall. It's like carved in, really strange. He again left a shoe print at the scene that detectives discovered and matched to be this specific pair of Avias. And so San Francisco is like 6 hours away from where all of his other killings were. And like he's done something in San Francisco earlier. I've already mentioned that, but he's back in San Francisco. I don't know why he goes from like
boing, bang, boom.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. But the LA County Sheriff's Department flew up to the scene, and when they're on the plane, the same Laura Erickson is on the plane too. And they're like, "How did she get the jump on this? Like, how is she here?" Yeah, and she was like, is there stuff written on the walls? And that's the first that the news reporters had heard that there had been things written on the walls. And they were like, nope, there sure isn't, because that would cause such a rise in panic, especially with all the satanic stuff.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's the last thing they need right now.
Yeah, they're like, please do not do this.
Don't ignite that fire.
Yeah. And so really they've kind of held that to themselves. The shoe is to themselves. And I feel like there's one more piece of information that they've kind of just held to themselves. Or like, this does not need to be beyond detectives, but I'm losing what it might be. But basically, the mayor of San Francisco is asked to hold a press conference just to warn people, like, lock your doors, whatever. Yeah, no, she ends up being like, hey, they're looking for a size 11 and a half shoe Avia. It's black. They're looking for, she spills all of the beans. I don't think she like meant to. I just don't think she like realized what she was even doing, you know? She wouldn't have done that on purpose.
Probably not, but they have told you to not do that.
Well, they're thinking there might have been some miscommunication where it was probably just assumed that she should know not to do that, and then she did. And so whenever Frank and Gil arrive home from San Francisco, that's on the news, and they're like, cool. Hell yeah.
Blown.
Hell yeah.
Love it.
It was the ballistics. She also shared the ballistics.
Girl.
So.
In what world
is that a good idea?
Are we sharing all that information?
I don't know. I guess if you're the mayor trying not to like have it happen again where you're at, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But August 24th, 1985, Ramirez traveled 76 miles south of Los Angeles in a stolen orange Toyota. Told you, he loves Toyotas. To Mission Viejo. That night, he arrived at the home of a 45-year-old James Romero Jr., who had just returned from a family vacation from Mexico. Romero's son was 13 years old, and he was awake still. And while his family was asleep, James went outside to retrieve a pillow that was inside of the truck. And when he was outside, he heard some like rustling. Assuming it was an animal, James went to investigate, but did not notice anything out of the ordinary. So he went into the garage and began working on his mini bike before hearing Ramirez's footsteps outside of the house. And thinking there was a prowler, James went and woke up his parents. And so his parents raced outside and they got the make, model, and partial license plate of the car that he was driving. So then he contacted the police with the information. And while this attack on the Ramirez residence was aborted, Ramirez broke into the home of 30-year-old Bill Carnes and his fiancee, 29-year-old Inez Erickson, through the back door. Ramirez entered the sleeping couple's bedroom and awakened Carnes when he cocked the .25 caliber handgun. He shot Carnes 3 times in the head before turning his attention to Erickson. Ramirez identified himself as the Night Stalker and forced her to swear she loved Satan, and he beat her with his fists and bound her with neckties from the closet. After stealing what he could find, Ramirez dragged Erickson to another room before raping her. He demanded cash and jewelry and made her swear on Satan that there was no more. Before leaving the home, he told Erickson, Tell them the Night Stalker was here. Erickson untied herself and went to the neighbors for help.
Mm-hmm.
So Carnes, even though he was shot 3 times in the head, survived as well.
Yeah, with those shitty ass bullets.
Yeah, I'm like, eesh. I mean, not that you should be killing people, but you really should have figured it out by now. That's probably why he did 3 and it still didn't work. But
not the brightest.
Yeah. And so also with this car that was stolen, they were able to trace it back to the car that was stolen out of Chinatown. So they know he is near them, actually, in Los Angeles. And like the detectives normally go to a bar in Chinatown. That's where they like go and hang out and do their because it's a bar that's very much just like for police officers and law enforcement. So it's like a safe place kind of. And so they're like, he really is close.
Yeah. He's just hanging around.
Yeah. So he's here and then he's going doing other stuff, but he's definitely staying somewhere around here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now you can definitely tell by saying, I am the Night Stalker. He is watching the media and he is getting proud of like what he's doing or feeling some sort of like sense of something to be like, by the way, tell them that it was me.
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't be able to guess that it was you.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Crazy. So that was August 24th. Now we're going to the 27th. The LA County Sheriff Department received a phone call from a woman who said her dad was a kind of like street person. He hung out at the Greyhound bus station, which is kind of like Skid Row. And he had befriended a man named Rick, who he thought might be the Night Stalker. So investigators go down there and find the man, the dad. And he told them, yeah, I made friends with Rick and he's from El Paso, Texas.
Yeehaw!
Yeah. But one of the things he said is that Rick told him he had killed an Asian couple in Monterey Park with a .22 semi-automatic pistol. So the detectives say that information was not accessible to the public. I guess the ballistics was not. So it was super significant so they could trust this guy. And he also told them that Rick had given the gun to him and he took it to Tijuana. And I don't think this guy actually probably believed it, or if he's a street person, maybe he was, kind of on drugs, whatever. Whatever the case, he did go with them to Tijuana and they were able to recover the gun.
Yeah.
And they also found a radio there that had been stolen from the Bell and Lang murders, which were the 80-year-old sisters that died in like May and August in the hospital. Her son, one of Lang's son, had bought them a radio and he still had the receipt. So they were able to match the model number and everything.
Wow.
So it was just like a double confirmation for sure. And then a man named Earl Gregg called San Francisco Police Department saying he got a bracelet from his mother-in-law that he thinks may be related to the Night Stalker case. How you connect those two things, I mean, he kind of did here, but it's like, that's crazy. So his mother-in-law lived in San Paulo, California, and she got the bracelet from her boyfriend, Armando Rodriguez. And he got that bracelet from his friend, Rick, who is also from El Paso. But that's him being friends with people in San Francisco, too. So it's like, how is he so transient and friends with someone here and then someone 6 hours away? Like, what a weird... Weird.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Either way. So she told San Francisco PD that Rick wore a black AC/DC hat, which was left at one of the very first crime scenes.
Maria's house. Right?
And he wore a black members only jacket and had bad teeth, which was like already 2 things that were very known about him as well. So the PD went down to Armando's place, and when he was walking out, they were kind of cordial. And one of the officers was like, nah, this guy ain't it. Like threw him in the car because he was being like cocky kind of.
Like a smart ass.
Yeah. And so from the front seat, the cop was like, I was literally about to bash my hand so far back into the windshield to punch him in the back seat because of how he was acting that like we were verbally exchanging with each other. And I was about to really beat this guy up. Like he said, I told him I was going to split him from his head to his ass because I was going to punch him so hard because I was
his problem?
Armando was like, I'm not going to give you the name of this guy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why was Armando being like that?
I don't know. But eventually, whenever he's about to get punched in the face, he says, Richard Ramirez, and gives the full name. So that's the first time they get the full name.
He said, I don't want to be punched in my face to my ass. I ain't trying to experience that ever. Honestly, me too.
Yeah.
Good tactic.
I think a lot of the people I'm going to
punch you to your ass. I'm using that.
Yeah. From here on out. That's it.
That's it.
But I think that I kind of think, which I'll kind of touch on in a minute, but I kind of think that a lot of people didn't believe it was Richard Ramirez because I've heard his interviews. Some of the things he says is like, oh, that's not normal. Other than that, super intelligent, nice guy. Yeah. So I think that friends were probably like, not him. And that's probably why he was like, I'm not giving you his name. It's not him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, if you're so sure, just tell me and we'll check it out.
Yeah, we'll go look. So now it's August 30th, which is 3 days later. And the San Francisco Police Department informed the LA County Sheriff's Office that they had the name. And now that they had the name Richard Ramirez, they could start to kind of pull it. And so there's not an electric database still of fingerprints.
CODIS.
So they had 8 men named Richard Ramirez in their stock, system, basically. And they had to go in and like the fingerprint they had. Oh, I never mentioned where they got the fingerprint from him that they did have. The fingerprint that they did have from him was whenever he stole the orange Toyota and was like, whenever he scared that little boy and the little boy got the partial. Yeah. It was off that car. He adjusted the rearview mirror and left a fingerprint.
Yeah.
That's where it was at. I don't know how I did not have that in here, but that is where the fingerprint came from. And so
they have the name and the fingerprint.
But they have to make sure this fingerprint matches the fingerprint they have on file.
Okay.
So they have to like have a little microscope and go through and check all. They have all of his fingers, so they have to find the one that matched it. So they've got to go through that. They did it for eight Richard Ramirez's. He was the only one that matched, and then they were able to pull up his mugshot from there because they also had his booking for like a petty theft. He had like petty car theft stuff like that. So they actually had a booking number and a picture of him now. And so they pulled up the picture and looked at it next to the composite sketches, and they were like, "This is the fucking guy. Like, this is Richard Ramirez. This is the Night Stalker. For sure, this is him." Now that they have his fingerprints, August 30th in this area, now that they have his fingerprints, there was a conference call between a bunch of jurisdictions, and they were trying to decide, like, should we put his name out and his photograph out? Like, should we do that? Or are we going to lose him? And the two main investigators, Frank and Gil, were like, do not put that out there. We will lose him. He's will listening. Run. Yeah. He is paying attention, and we will never find him again. He's already so transient. We will not find him. Yeah. And they put his name out anyway. So they put his name, his mugshot, everything out anyways. So now it's the next day, August 31st. And they were like, okay, he is going to leave. He's going to escape. They knew he had a locker and things at the Greyhound bus station. So they stationed some men there, so that if he was coming through to leave, they could just get him. But oddly enough, Richard Ramirez had actually just been in like Tucson, Arizona, visiting his brother while his name got put out. So he had no idea his name was being put out all over LA right now. And he's coming back into LA. So he's not even coming back into the part of the bus station that they're waiting for him at. Yeah. But he does make the cops because he's looking around when he's getting there. And he's like, that guy is dressed like shit, but he's not stinky, dirty, and he has nice teeth. So he's clearly a cop. Yeah. And so whether he knew that they were there for him or not, which I don't think he did yet, he just kind of like went out a sideway and went down an alley. He went to a liquor store, and at the liquor store is where he sees his face and his name and Night Stalker all together on the main page of the newspaper at the newspaper stand. And the guy who owned the liquor store was working the liquor store, saw him panic, and he said Richard ran outside and immediately got on a bus. So then when he's sitting on the bus, the guy beside him has a newspaper in his hand and is looking between him, and he pulls the cord like, give me the hell. Yeah. And I looked at him. Exactly. And he pulls that cord. He said, get me the hell
off this bus.
Who's driving this bus? Get me off.
Who's driving this bus?
How many can we put in one sentence? But he said,
I love it here.
Yeah, like, get me off this bus. And he immediately goes to a payphone. And there's no way Richard did not watch him and watch him go straight to this payphone.
But what's he going to do? You know, like, are you going to stay on the bus and keep running as far away as you can?
Well, he stayed on for like one more stop because when you pull like buses won't stop. It's same thing like overseas. Buses will not stop at every single stop. So you have to like pull, or there's a button that says, hey, I want off at this stop.
I want this stop.
And so like, and they want you to already be waiting when they're stopping. So they'll just go again. Like they're quick. And so he didn't have time to like, so he stayed on the bus, and it was like his brother lived like 8 miles down the road. So if he could just make it on the same road for 8 miles, he'd be safe. But clearly he's already being made. Yeah. So he gets off at the next bus stop, and he's just like running, and people are seeing him and they're calling, like he's being followed by phone calls. And then at this point in time, he's in some neighborhood and he tries to steal this man's car. And the man's like, hell no, you're not stealing my car. Like, blah,
I ain't
blah, blah.
the one.
Yeah. So he runs further down and he sees a girl standing outside of her car and he's like, give me your keys. I need your keys. Like tries to steal her car too.
Mm-hmm.
And her husband comes out and is like, hell no, grabs like a wrought iron out of the fence and bangs him on the head.
Mm-hmm.
Then he falls, but he gets up and keeps running. So this guy is chasing him, hits him again, but he's still running. And now the whole neighborhood is
chasing him. This is my favorite part of the whole story.
Whole neighborhood's coming down on this guy.
Yeah, they're literally like chasing him down the road.
Everybody. And it's actually, he's in a Hispanic neighborhood and he's Hispanic. So he was like talking to them in Spanish and everything. And so whatever. Anyways, he's running. They're chasing him. And he finally gets to a point where he's like, I'm tired. And he just sits on the curb. And the man stands over him with the wrought iron and the cops come and get him. Yep. And he said that he was so thankful that the cops showed up because
that guy.
Yeah. He was like, I'm going to die and I'm exhausted. So he was excited that the cops were there. Like he said he felt joy when he saw the cops.
He's like, good. I'm going to get 3 hots and a cot, baby.
Yeah. And you know what's really the picture of him? You had to have seen it when he's in the cop car and his face is all bandaged up. He doesn't look like a bad looking guy there. Like he not saying like he doesn't look evil.
No.
He actually like
he doesn't look like
he looks like he has a nice facial structure and pretty eyes. Just from the angles that you see.
Yeah.
And then he looks directly at you and you're like, oh my God, he's terrifying.
Yeah.
But like just like from the side, he's got nice eyelashes, a good like cheek structure, probably because he's on 12 pounds of drugs.
Correct.
But
it's just bones.
Yeah. But it's like he's got like a face structure or whatever, you know? Oh, anyways. He is in custody. Finally. And one of the women that was supposed to fingerprint him was Linda, the one whose neighbor yelled at her. And she looked at him and she said, I absolutely will not fingerprint that guy. He is terrifying. Like he looks horrifying. So like her coworker did it. She was like, I can't do that. That's how like much he emanated just like evil. Is that someone like that who's probably fingerprinted 1,000 people was like, I can't do this. And so Gil and Frank now are in a room with him and they're trying to get stuff out of him, whatever. And he's not really saying anything until they like start to introduce themselves. And Frank is like, I'm Frank Salerno. And he's like, I know who you are. Like you did the Hillside Strangler, like, but he was like kind of fanatic about it, like excited. And they were like, oh, cool. He studies these guys.
Yeah.
Clearly, like you can tell that he studied these guys just by that interaction alone. And then he wouldn't say anything else. Like he wouldn't answer any of their questions or say anything. And it was even at one point that Gil said he was like, okay, well, I'm Hispanic. I grew up in the streets. So I started kind of talking to him in Spanish and using like slang and things like that. And that's where Richard kind of was like, interesting. Like he thought maybe it would help him open up a little bit more. And he kind of still really wasn't opening up a whole lot. And Gil said at one point, there was only one time in the whole entire process that he was like terrified or a little bit like uneasy about Richard. And it was like, he said that Richard was laying with his head on the table, kind of like on the side. And he had his hands just on either side of his head. And he was just like laying there listening to them talk. And he said that at one point, Gil started to talk about his family. And he said Richard's hands kind of were like levitating over the table now, like lifted up. And we're like, he was like, this guy is about to fucking levitate and float around the room and I'm out. He said, I have been shot at. I have been like in fights. I've done all of these things, but I have never tried to fight someone who's levitating around a room.
Yeah.
Because at this
like
point,
floating around.
Yeah. Well, they all know also that he's like into Satanism and demonic stuff. And it's the satanic panic at this point in time.
Yeah,
so he was
know
like,
what he's going to do.
No, he's like, I swore that guy was about to levitate and I was out. But he was like laughing when he was saying it. I was like, that is funny.
Oh God.
I had to include that because I thought that was very funny.
It is funny.
But they wanted to maybe like amp up him being willing to talk. And so they were like, here, we're going to put you in the Hillside Stranglers cell that he was in once. Yeah. And he said that like, they said his face like lit up. He was so excited to be like in this infamous like cell. And I don't really think it did too much, but they were hoping it would make him like sweeten up and talk to him. Another thing that happened is they put him, which I think a lot of us have seen the footage of this, but he's in the lineup and for potential witnesses to be like, that guy, like, but the way that they do it is a bunch of potential witnesses or people who have said, you know, had stories about him, stuff like that. They all come in at the same time and they just have to write on their piece of paper the number or whatever. And they had him say some line of like, give me the bag, bitch, or where's the jewelry bit? Like, because he apparently called women bitches a lot. And so they have him, everyone in the line says that. And it's like 1, 2, 3, I think through like 10 or something like that. And the little girl who he put in the duffel bag, the 6-year-old girl, because she's still 6 at this time because all of this happened
within
boom, boom,
months.
boom.
Yeah.
And she is there and she raises her hand and she says, do I write the number 2 or do I like the number 2 or the letter 2? And that gives me chills because that's horrifying.
Yeah, me too.
But it was at that point in time that Gil and Frank and all the other detectives, they kind of had worked together on this. They were investigating all those child abduction cases at this point in time and kind of going through it. And they decided not to pursue the charges on those because they didn't want the kids to have
to go through
it. Because that little girl,
and they
like,
didn't need it.
No, they already had all this other stuff. But
he was going away, yeah.
Regardless. And so they were like, no, we will throw this out.
Yeah.
But the little girl was like, I'll go up there and I'll testify because I want to save other girls that he potentially could have done this to or did do this to. Very strong.
Sweet baby angel. I'm going to cry.
Yeah, very, very strong. And she's like, she actually interviews now as an adult. So that's how you know so much about her. But yeah. And so they did drop that. I think it still ends up kind of being tagged onto him anyways, but they were like, we're not going to go through like with the testimonies and stuff like that.
There's no reason for that. Yeah.
So I think they go about it in a different way because I do kind of mention it with what he's like accused of, but they didn't like make them all go through it.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to touch on the trial real quick. So on October 24th, 1985 is when he went to court, and it was whenever they were doing like jury selection, I believe. Something simple. But that is where he held up his hand and had the Hail Satan moment that so many people know about. And so that was just October 24th of 1985. But it kind of alluded to who he was going to be during the trials. In the beginning of his trials, he was disruptive, said stuff like that. Towards the end of his trials, I think he calmed down more because he knew what his outcome was going to be. But like in the beginning, I think he was so jaded into this that he still was disruptive and like would stare at cameras to like be creepy and still would say like Hail Satan.
To instill that fear into people even from where he's where he was
sitting. At. Like there was nothing he could do where he was at, but he still wanted that. So jury selection for his trial began, and on July 22nd, 1988, on August 3rd, 1988, the Los Angeles Times reported that some jail employees had overheard him, like Ramirez, planning to shoot the prosecutor. So he was going to have like a gun smuggled in, and that is when metal detectors were installed outside of the courtroom.
Yeah.
On August 14th, the trial was interrupted because one of the jurors, Phyllis Singletary, did not arrive at the courtroom. Later that day, she was found shot to death in her apartment, and the jury wondered if he had somehow orchestrated this because he was getting fan mail.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
He was getting tons of fan mail, and so they wondered if he was orchestrating this, but then it turns out that her ex-boyfriend or boyfriend had come in, killed her, and then committed suicide in like a hotel room, and they were able to do it like ballistically and realize it wasn't him. But that set trial back too, because then they had to find a new juror and go through a whole process again.
Yeah.
And they already had a hard time finding someone who could be in the jury because of the media coverage and like biases and all of that. So on September 20th, 1989, Ramirez was convicted of all 43 charges.
Oh my God.
13 counts of murder, 5 attempted murders, 11 sexual assaults, and 14 burglaries. So the sexual assaults, I guess, was actually just on the grown people and not on the children. So he didn't get tried for that.
Yeah.
During the penalty phase on November 7th, 1989, when he was sentenced to death by California's gas chamber, do you know what he said? Do you remember? You remember as soon as I say it.
I do. Yeah, as soon as you say it, I'll remember.
Big deal. Death always went with the territory. See you in Disneyland.
Yeah, Disneyland.
That was his response. And
see ya in Disneyland.
That's crazy. And the trial cost $1.8 million, which at that time was the most expensive murder trial up until O.J. Simpson surpassed him in 1994.
Oh my God.
So another thing about Richard Ramirez, during his time in jail, he had groupies that would come to the trials, like girls dressed to impress him. He met a woman named Doreen Leoy. Doreen was like a magazine editor or something, like friends with John Stamos, like friends with like famous people, because she was magazines back then. There wasn't like, I guess there wasn't like paparazzi, whatever. Like most of the time magazines back then actually worked directly with the celebrity from what I understand. And so she worked with like John Stamos and all these famous people. And she started to like Richard Ramirez, and she started to write to him like crazy and like fully dedicated herself to him. Like, I don't necessarily know if she gave up her career, but she probably got blackballed real quick once they realized like she was
what she was doing,
really into him.
Yeah.
She wrote him letters all the time, went and visited him all the time. There was so many people visiting him that she would sit in her car and wait for her turn because he had so many people come visit him in prison because so many people were like into him.
Oh, that's so disturbing.
And he had like a girl, I don't remember what her name was, but she like wrote songs for him and everything. And she was very much like he was, like just like dark and eccentric. And she was interviewed. She seems nice and normal. I think she just was into the same things as him. And one of the reasons she stopped talking to him and stopped being so like fascinated in him is because she was like, I don't have to compete with all these other girls. Like, you're in prison. I don't have to do that.
Period.
So she didn't. But she's the one who told him like, you're like such a rock star. You should like really play into that. And that's where he showed up wearing like the leather jacket and the black glasses. Like that was like her idea. But he had groupies. The only one who like was Doreen. So they started writing in 1985 and wrote nearly 75 letters during his incarceration. In 1988, he proposed to her. And October 3rd, 1996, they got married in San Quentin State Prison. So for many years leading up to his death, like his death sentence, she would say that whenever she would commit suicide and also die. But I don't know really what happened, but by the time he died in 2013, he was actually engaged to a 23-year-old writer. So no longer with Doreen. But Doreen, like...
And how old was he at that time?
When he passed away? 53 or something like that. 50-something. I think 53. But Doreen, like, she actually seems like a very sweet woman. She was a virgin. She would not have sex until she got married. But clearly she still was never allowed to do that with him. She would say, like they would ask, like, do you believe that he did these crimes? And she's like, I don't know. No, not really. Like, she didn't really believe he did the crimes. And if they were like, do you not feel bad for these people? She was like, there's nothing I could do for them. All I can do is stuff for him. Like, she was very, very...
Like, dedicated to him.
Yeah, very. And that's what someone was like, because he ended up doing over 100 hours of interviews with a man named Philip Carlo or something like, I think Carlo. Yeah, by Philip Carlo. He had done over 100 hours of interviews with Philip Carlo. And someone had asked Philip Carlo, like, do you think that he actually loved her? And he said, well, he would still talk to other girls, like, write other girls and stuff. But he was like, I think he trusted her with everything because she was so dedicated.
Yeah.
So, like, I do think he loved her and, like, the best way he could.
Yeah. But what I don't understand in that relationship is, like, come on, like, girl, you have to know that he did those things. Like, you can admit that you know that he did those things and still love him. Like, that's on you, girl. Like, whatever. Do you. But, like, you can't sit here and say you don't think that he did that.
But it's crazy the amount of women that wrote to him, sending him, like, pornographic pictures and showing up. They knew he did all those things. The only thing I don't know if it was really publicly out there is the sexual assault of children. And I feel like that would be like a real big deterrent. I think murder is crazy and should be a deterrent. I
do too, but it's not.
But sexual assault of a child, but that's still not even a deterrent. There's a lot of people who stay with men like that. So don't know. Not my problem. I am not about to judge anybody on that. That's your life. I'm like, not my problem. So on August 7th, 2006, Ramirez's first round of state appeals ended unsuccessfully because he kept trying to reappeal. And he died actually of natural complications secondary to B-cell lymphoma at Marin General Hospital in Greenbrae, California on June 7th, 2013 at the age of 53. He also had been affected by chronic substance abuse and chronic hepatitis C viral infection.
Imagine that. Yeah. Not surprised.
Not shocked. His body was not claimed, so he was cremated. So
Doreen didn't claim his body?
Well, by the time he died, he was engaged to a 23-year-old over here.
She didn't claim it?
That's not.
She's like, okay, never mind.
Sorry.
Snapped out of it.
Sorry, bye.
I'm over it.
Yeah. So I was going to talk a little bit about his early life to maybe answer some questions before we have a few discussion points.
Okay.
So he was born February 29th of 1960. He was known as Little Richie and was a shy kid who loved music. He was not known for causing any issues in school or anything like that. He had 3 older brothers and an older sister named Rosie, who he claimed to be the closest with out of any of his family. His father was, I'm not sure if he's alive still, was a former police officer from Mexico who in the United States worked in the railroad. By the time his mom was pregnant with him, he was her 5th child, And she was working in a boot factory, which leads some people to believe that maybe the chemicals and things that she was around all the time caused some sort of like fetal development issues.
Mm-hmm.
Then on top of that, throughout his life, he had multiple head injuries,
Okay.
which led him to being diagnosed with prefrontal lobe epilepsy, which we have talked about before. Was that Exorcist?
Annalise.
So he was diagnosed with that at some point in his early childhood, like young childhood.
Head injuries is part of the triad.
His sister Rosa said that every single day he would have some sort of small petite seizure where he would sit there and like stare and be unresponsive to them talking to him every day. So on top of all of those things combined, his dad was also said to be like extremely abusive.
Okay.
It's like to the point where one of his brothers was like, yeah, he almost shot Richie for something. And they would all hide from him because he was so abusive. And sometimes Richard would sleep in the cemetery because he said dead people were more predictable than real live people.
Well, that's not wrong.
That was all before like the age of 11.
That's really sad.
At the age of 11, Ramirez began smoking weed after hanging out with his cousin.
Okay.
So his cousin, Mike or Miguel Ramirez, not sure even how much older he is, but him and Richard are kind of close. His cousin was in the Vietnam War and was a veteran, so got to be at least like 23, 4 to be out of that. He would show Ramirez photographs of the Vietnamese women that he would abuse. Some included severed heads that he would be posed with. And his cousin used to say to him, there is no thrill like a good kill. And then...
Where does this information come from? From Richard?
Yeah. And from Richard's siblings.
Okay.
Because Richard's siblings were the ones that were like, that guy kind of scared me.
Yeah.
On May 4th of 1975, when Richard was 15 years old, he was with his cousin Mike, when his cousin Mike got pissed off at his wife and he shot her in the face. Some of the blood even got on Richard. Miguel said, do not tell anyone that this just happened. Richard does not tell anyone that just happened. And Michael, finally gets caught. And when he's caught, his parents call Richard's parents and are like, hey, will you go get some of his stuff out of his house? We don't want to go see the crime scene, like it hurts us, but we need, like his stuff needs to be taken out of it. So Richard goes with his dad to get said things and he sees Jesse's ID. And that's when he puts it together like, she's actually dead. Like, I don't know what the connection is there. Like actually seeing her face in that picture. He's like, oh, she's dead.
Yeah.
And he liked the way that felt at 15. He liked knowing like how that felt. So then in 1978 is when Richard moves with his sister Ruth to Los Angeles. And it is said that her husband, Roberto, was a peeping Tom and would take Ramirez along with him after dark for some of the acts that he would do.
Somebody needs to get a hold of these adults.
Yeah.
What the Where's their adult?
Don't know.
That's crazy.
And during this time, Ramirez got a job at the Holiday Inn where it's supposed that he probably tried to break into a hotel room, or he tried to break into hotel rooms, steal from guests, and even tried to rape one. So that was probably where he started in 1977, 78 when he's like 18. Because 18 is when he moves to LA.
Yeah.
He said up until 18, he believed in God. And when he came to LA, he met someone who introduced him to Satan. And he described Satan as a stabilizing force in his life that gave him reason to live and to be. In the interview that I mentioned with over 100 hours that was done in the 90s after he was arrested by Philip Carlo, in one of the interviews, there's a discussion on if children are born a bad seed or made into one. And Richard told Philip he believes it's the environment in which they are raised, not born. So he says, yeah, I was raised this way, basically.
Yeah.
He also admitted that he loved doing burglaries. And one of the things that was like, damn, okay, this guy's a manipulator and he's good at it.
Yeah.
Because he was describing the way that it felt to like go do these burglaries. And he's like, it's 2 a.m. You're driving around in the dark in your car with like the radio on and the moonlight and the fog. Like he romanticized the shit out of it. And then he gets this adrenaline rush and he loves the adrenaline rush. But I was like,
you're like, I'm excited.
I love driving around at night in the dark with the moon and the what did we used to do? We used to go drive around the lake.
Yeah. And listen to bangers.
Yes. So I'm like, I get that. Like I get the serene feeling you get from that. And I was like, oh my God, he made me enjoy his point of view. Gross. Gross.
That part, yes. But never
Not the
one time did we
burglary.
think, oh, let's go burglarize this house. It'll be so fun.
You know what's crazy? I actually hate anxiety, so I'm not doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
But
we're also getting shot if we break into somebody's house around here.
Yes.
You know?
And that's what they said eventually, like in this time period is when everyone in California is buying guns. They're like, there's interviews of these young girls. Like there's one girl and they're like, are you going to go get a gun? And she said, yes. And they said, do you know how to use it? She said, no. But I'm going to go get one. Like, not doing it. But that last thing right there where it's like, he convinced me why he enjoyed doing what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I can only imagine why all these other people were taken by him because he was good at that. Or like in court, he would turn around and look at girls and like eye them up and down to see like, are you interested in, is that why you're here? Are you here for me?
Yeah.
Or are you actually here for the trial? Like, which one are you here for? Yeah. And so he would look around the room and like make eyes with girls to try and figure out like.
Who was there for him. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all that I have.
The heebly-jeeblies.
I have a couple of points just to mention, and then if you have anything else. So one of the things is I would like to hit on, because I don't think it's probably hit on too much, is the amount of emotional and mental stress of the investigators, the detectives of Gil and Frank. Mm-hmm. Aside from just Gil and Frank, but like their families, everybody. Yeah. The people who are having to do this. How condensed his thing was just now.
They were working.
They were not home.
Night and day. All day, every day.
They're like, one of the scenes happened 5 minutes from where Gil lived. Mm-hmm. His wife said, when he got the call at 3:30 in the morning, his wife said, I will not stay here and my children will not stay here until you are home and that man is caught. Mm-hmm. So like that at 3 a.m, when he left to get in his car to go to work, she got in her car and took the kids with her. Yeah. And they did not see each other again until he was at a wedding, like the same day that Richard was in trial or caught. And that is when she finally came home. So I would like to hit on just like, can you imagine being, and like Gil even said, Frank was better about like shutting off work and going into his house. Yeah. But like, can you imagine you're no sleep?
No, none.
Your family just left and now you're having to worry about, I don't think she was trying to divorce them or anything. No. She was finding safety, but like you're still worried about them now, even more so.
Now you have to
and you were already worried about them at home.
Yeah.
Like can you imagine the strain, and how do you compartmentalize that to be like, I'm worrying about my family, but I need to get this done.
You can't, because the only way that you get to stop doing that is when you catch this guy. Yeah. You cannot.
And they hit on that in the show Mindhunter, how just like draining, how much it draws you down. Mm-hmm. And it really puts it into a perspective of like, holy shit. Like sometimes you have a way harder like job than I do, like way more strenuous, emotional. Mm-hmm. But even me, I'm like, oh my God, I just sat at my desk for 8 hours and I'm exhausted. Like,
yeah.
And that makes me feel like such a whiny ass baby.
Imagine it being life and death.
It literally makes me feel like a whiny baby.
Or death and death in an investigator's standpoint, you know? Because I feel that. I get that emotional exhaustion when I'm at work and I have a heavy day with some really sick patients, and it takes literally every single ounce of brain power that you have. And in the moment, you don't realize. Yeah. And then when you stop, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, like that was a lot.
I physically and mentally cannot do a single thing. Yeah, I can't imagine the hours that they put in, because not only are you trying to catch this bad person who's already done all these bad things, when you catch them, you're preventing more and more bad things to happen. So the longer it goes on, the more people get hurt. Yeah. And you feel like that's your fault.
Your fault.
Because you can't find him.
And especially when there was the mishaps of like the car fingerprints and him running away and the dentist thing, like the amount of, and I'm not saying that's their fault. I'm saying just how they had to have felt.
Oh yeah.
And imagine being Frank and you just did the Hillside Strangler. And I don't know if he was involved in the trash, the trash.
Yeah. And now this.
Whatever. And the freeway, like, I don't know if he was involved in all of those, but he was involved in Hillside. So less than 7 years later, and now he's on another thing like this. It's just draining.
Exhausting. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like Richard Ramirez caused pain to his victims, the family of his victims, his family, children, the investigators, all in law enforcement, and everybody that surrounded Los Angeles, and even us now
was in fear.
But like, he really did have a like long-standing, massive effect.
Oh yeah,
on pretty much everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things
Forever.
that's one of the things that, and during one of the documents, it said the picture of him in court with the hell Satan holding up his hand will forever be ingrained in every generation from here on out.
Mm-hmm.
From that generation on.
Yeah.
Every single person will at least know that picture, even if they don't know his name.
Yeah.
They will know that picture.
Yeah.
Like he got the notoriety he wanted.
Yeah. I don't know that.
And I hate that.
I don't know that if he started with that intention.
I don't think he started.
But I think he gained that.
Yeah.
During, and he was like, oh.
I think he started with the rush of
just for himself.
Excited, anxiety, robberies, because he was very transient and just needed money and stuff like that. Because I think he dropped out of school. I don't think he graduated or like ever had a job. I think that's just immediately started into crime. Because by the time he was arrested, he was 25 years old. He started at 18, lightly at 18, and was arrested by 25.
Yeah.
So it's not like he had like a lot of life to live, but
right.
I think he was stealing to get his next high and then started killing whenever he felt like it. I still just don't understand. I get that just like he went into any house that was open.
Mm-hmm.
That I understand. The killing part of it, I still am like, what?
Yeah, why did you do that? You could have just tied them up and stole what you wanted to steal.
Well, even just like killing this one, but not killing this one, not like killing the husband, not killing the wife, or is it tied back to his dad and how horrible his dad was? Was his mom okay to where he only wanted to kill the male?
Yeah.
But there's some females that he killed too, but he normally killed them like, it almost seemed like out of rage.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very confusing.
Yeah.
But that's where it's like, I don't understand that part at all, but I understand
I don't either. I don't
else.
even think I could put that into words on how I don't understand that. My brain goes back to like, I guess depending on what drug he was on.
Yeah, that's the only thing I think really makes sense.
Or
honestly.
if he was, was he schizophrenic? Was he bipolar? Was he, what mental illnesses?
I think they ended up saying bipolar and like something else, but all I took out of it was the prefrontal lobe situation.
Yeah, that's a big one. Usually that's like the first of the serial killer triad, which is head trauma, mutilating animals, and arson.
And peeing the bed.
Yeah.
I think Charles Manson had all of them as well.
Yeah, there's a few of them that had
like all of the
boom, boom.
Like trifecta or whatever it is. But that's all I have on him.
It's
a lot.
It is a lot.
It's like one of those where it's like I laid down, like, I don't know if I can pull up the particular picture. I'll definitely put it on the screen and on our social medias. So definitely go follow our social medias. Because I'll have multiple pictures of him. I probably will not have a single picture of any of the victims because I do not think that is fair to them. That's where like it draws the line. Is it like, are we paying respect to the victims or are we not by putting their pictures out? I almost don't want to put their pictures out because I almost feel like it's disrespectful. But like, I almost want to so that you can pay respect to them.
Right.
So it's a hard line.
It is a hard line.
This is the one that really stuck with me.
Ew. I actually don't think I've seen that picture. He looks like a skeleton.
That was
like a vampire.
His face is what stuck with me the most. This is the one I saw that I was like, and they kept zooming in on his face and I was like, whoa, look at that. I was like looking away. I was like, do not do that right now.
He's so creepy.
Yeah, and I don't know who took those because he has scratches all over him during that picture.
Yeah, where did those cut? That looks like Cristiano Ronaldo.
Is that who this is? Who's that?
No, I don't know who that is.
It just showed up in like the...
That cannot be real of him.
Yeah.
Who took that? He looks like he's modeling for Calvin Klein.
Question of the day. Yeah. Just so dark. So dark. That picture alone is the one that was like, I need to get it off of this because I do not want to see it. Get away, get away, get away.
The one that I always see in my head is the one where he's holding up where he was arrested, where he's holding up the thing. Because it's in the intro of Criminal Minds, so I see it all the time.
So that is actually is it?
Where he's holding like the plaque.
And it's got the flip numbers?
Maybe. Yeah,
okay.
That one.
So that's actually his original booking photo from just petty car theft.
Ah.
That wasn't even the one, I don't think, after he got like
arrested.
Caught. This was like his original one that, I think, because in the documentary.
They took to match to his sketches.
Yeah, I think, from the documentary. But yeah, like this is, I think, the last of him before he was dead, before he died.
Ew.
He doesn't look dark and evil there, though.
No,
he just looks like a man in prison.
Yeah, he does. But his hair's so long.
So Gross. It's like almost like without drugs, he might have been potentially normal. Like,
yeah, it was like
in
maybe
these, he doesn't,
maybe the drugs.
he still doesn't look that bad in some of these. There's certain pictures, if he's like looking down, I guess, with his eyes up, he looks a lot more terrifying. Maybe it's when he's on drugs that he looks the scariest, but in some of these, he really doesn't look that horrifying. But when he was caught and arrested, he was wearing the Black Jack Daniels shirt that so many people described him wearing this shirt.
I wonder how dirty that shirt is.
Oh, can you imagine how bad he stunk?
How many days that he was wearing that? Ew.
I think it was,
so
oh my gosh, look at them. They put teeth on him that.
Stop.
Someone put, like, photoshopped an actual smile into his mouth with real teeth, and he actually doesn't look that horrible.
He looks normal. Yeah, it's definitely those teeth, man.
Probably why he kept his mouth closed all the time.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, I think that maybe, like, it also could be, like, obviously he had a terrible upbringing. He had terrible adults in his life.
Yeah.
But if he hadn't have got into the hard drugs, maybe it wouldn't have tipped something off.
Progress.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Like, if he hadn't done all that. They said he started doing cocaine, heroin, meth, all of that at like 15.
Oh my God.
Like, started quick.
Yeah.
And I don't know if his...
I mean, that jacks you up, man.
I don't know if his parents at that point were like...
Whatever.
Or, like, I don't know.
Where were they? Yeah.
It sounds like he was with his cousin Miguel a lot, who was, I think, probably who got him into all of that.
Uh-huh. Thanks, Miguel.
Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. But his cousin Miguel went to, like, a mental health institution and then got out.
Oh, okay. Did he ever get convicted of murdering his wife?
On insanity, no. Plea of insanity.
Okay.
So he went to a mental hospital, and be careful, because I don't know if this man's alive. I'm not trying to get hunted.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything.
I'm like, I don't know if this man's alive or not, but I have no interest in finding out. I can tell you that. I tell you what. But that's all I have on Richard Ramirez. I can see where he manipulates people, because clearly me over here, I'm like, he doesn't look that bad in that picture. He actually doesn't look evil there. I don't think I ever would have been a groupie in prison, but I could see where if he was able to talk to you, he could manipulate you. But he actually, like, in that interview with the Phil Carlo, there was some things he'd say and it was like, whoa, like he would be like, yeah, shot her, ha ha ha, and like laugh.
You're like, oh,
and that's
there he is.
But then the other parts of it, it's like, oh, cool, normal. Like, he's just a guy talking. He's an intellectual, used very intellectual language. And that was his sister said he would be reading all the time. Like, he read a bunch of books and stuff like that. So he's very smart. Yeah. There was multiple times where I was like, oh, he's smart.
Like, uneducated at all.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he's smart. Like, he's very smart.
That's just...
It's got to be the drugs, upbringing. But
that's wild.
If you have any information or anything you'd like to say in regards to this, or just send us your story or anything, really, if you want to talk to us, you can send us an email at sistersofthestrangepodcast@gmail.com. You can like, follow, comment, subscribe to all of our things. We have YouTube and
TikTok,
Spotify,
Instagram,
Apple Podcasts.
Spotify. What did I say?
Spotify. We've got all sorts of platforms that you could definitely go talk everywhere. To us on. Yeah. And we will see you next week in the new year.
Yay!
So, Happy New Year.
Everybody have a safe and happy new year, and we will see you next week.
Bye. Bye.